The story that I did my reading log over this week is Last Stop on Market Street by Matt De La Pena, illustrated by Kristen Robinson. It's a picture storybook geared towards pre-kindergarten to second graders. This book is about a little boy named CJ and his grandma who come from a very poor part of the city, and they have to take the bus to go get lunch from the soup kitchen every Sunday after church. Throughout the story, CJ complains about not getting what all the other kids have. So, for example, he complains about not getting the iPod that the other guy on the bus has. And his grandma always brings up throughout the story, hey, don't, basically she says, hey, don't complain about this. Look at this that you get. So, for example, with the iPod, she says, don't worry about what he's got. You've got the enjoyment of the live musician right in front of you. And there was a guy playing the guitar. So, for example, she just always brings up the beauty in life, and they don't have any money. So, for CJ, it's just something that he learns throughout the story to appreciate those little things. I think the bright colors and details of each person in this story kind of help the kids reading the book picture those little details that the grandma thinks is just beautiful. So she mentions the beauty of the graffiti in their neighborhood, which most people would think that that is really scary. You know, graffiti on the walls and on the buildings. Well, she mentions that they're just beautiful and to appreciate those little things. So that's something that CJ learns throughout the book. And so the theme of this story is that money doesn't determine happiness. So kids reading this story or listening to it, I think it teaches them to appreciate the little things in life. Instead of being sad that they don't get the newest iPod or the newest game, they need to appreciate that they get to go to school every day, they get a meal or two at school, they get to play with their friends, they get to play games and whatnot that the teacher lets them do. Because some kids in other countries don't get that. And that's something that I would want to talk about with them throughout the book, is that bring up that in other nations other than America, some kids don't even get to go to school. They don't get to learn how to read. They don't get to learn how to write. And they need, the kids in America and the kids that I will be teaching will learn from this book that they need to appreciate those little things. I also think that kids will learn more about how a city works. I will probably be teaching in rural areas, so kids won't really know before this story that there's a city bus that takes people places. Or they won't know what a soup kitchen is, and I'll have to describe to them that it's for people who can't afford to put meals on the table or whatever. Just there are a couple things in this book that a lot of rural kids won't know, and I will also want to discuss those things. So for this strategy or activity that I chose, I would have students brainstorm ideas and as a group of things in their life that they take for granted, and I will talk to them about what that means. So I will give an example of a tablet and then write it up on the board, and after the whole class comes up with about 10, I'm going to have each student choose one and then have them talk about what their life would be like without them and what they would without that item and what they would do in place of that. So for example, a tablet. What would their life be without it? What would they do? So instead of playing on their tablet, if they didn't have a tablet, just like CJ probably never had a tablet, I would bring up the idea that they could play a game with their family or something to promote physical activity and family bonding. So I think in society today in America, a lot of kids lack physical activity and some even lack family bonding. So bringing up examples like that would be really good for the kids. So I think at the end of the day, I want them to be able to go home and say, you know what, I'm not going to play on the tablet tonight. Let's play a game as a family. Or let's go outside and play tag or whatever. Just something to be able to help them realize that they need to appreciate that they even have the opportunity to have a tablet. So that is all I have. Thank you for listening.